You know, life comes at you very fast in this timeline, and I think nothing more exemplifies this than Dan Harmon. Now you see, Dan Harmon is the creator, or co-creator, shall we say, of Rick and Morty, and also Community. And speaking of Community, a former writer of his, a female writer of his, has accused him of inappropriate behaviour. Now I don't know what that means, but we'll find out. And I just think it's kind of funny that from his little outburst about Rick and Morty fans or trolls online attacking his female writers for being female, that he would be accused of something like this. I don't know about you, but if it's true, then I guess all those outbursts are nothing more than projection on his part, but I don't know. Let's get into the article, shall we? Former Community writer Megan Gantz has called out Dan Harmon, the creator of the NBC sitcom as well as popular animated series Rick and Morty, for acting inappropriately toward her during her time working on the show. Gantz took to Twitter on Tuesday to ask Harmon to be more specific about his reasons for dubbing 2017 the year of the arsehole, prompting an online conversation between the two that addressed Harmon's alleged actions. Gantz left Community after its 4th season to write for Modern Family. Harmon began by apologising for his conduct and asking if there was any way to remedy the situation. Now I have to stop the article there because it starts quoting tweets, and well, I'm not in the business of just quoting what they're trying to quote. Let's go to these actual tweets and read them out. And Megan Gantz starts off with, "Care to be more specific? Redemption follows elocution," which is very vague because how is one supposed to react to that? Is that an accusation, or is that somebody asking you a question out of the blue? You don't know. And then Dan says, "Was just shown this. And the previous subtweet I think was about me. I didn't want to add narcissism to injury by naming you without permission, but I've talked on my podcast about the lines I crossed. I will talk about it more in any way that you think is just. I'm deeply sorry. I'm filled with regret and a lot of foggy memories about abusing my position, treating you like garbage. I would feel a lot of relief if you told me there was a way to fix it. I'll let you call the shots. Till then, at least I know I was an awful boss and a selfish baby." Now, I couldn't find the subtweet in question, sadly. I think it may have been somebody else, and if it was her, she's since deleted it. And, you know, honestly, I don't know what she's really talking about here. To me, it seems like he's being accused of being a dickhead, and well, everybody knows Dan Harmon is a dickhead, so I don't know. I mean, there's no specifics here, and it seems like she's just trying to jump on him for some kind of, I don't know, something biting at her. Did he say something wrong? Did he do something wrong? Nothing's being said so far, and he just seems to be being so weak and just kowtowing to her and saying, "I'm so sorry that I may have done something wrong." He's basically admitting to something that she's not actually said he's done. She's just implying he's done something by asking a question. Megan goes on to say, "I wish my memories were foggier. I wish there was a way to fix it. It took me years to believe in my talents again, to trust the boss when he complimented me, and not cringe when he asked for my number. I was afraid to be enthusiastic, knowing it might be turned against me later. You want relief? So do I. I want to watch the first episode of television I wrote again, without remembering what came after. Figure out how to give me that relief, and I'll return the favour. I haven't listened to your podcast, but I don't think walls are the answer, unless you put them up with male co-workers too. Otherwise, you're falling into the Mike Pence School of Gender Relations that says men can't be trusted with women's phone numbers." So he was a dickhead to her. He insulted her work, potentially, and wasn't a very nice person, which he isn't. And I'm pretty sure he's done this to loads of different people. And this has somehow affected her so much that she can't even watch the first episode of television she ever wrote because she can't handle criticism no matter how bad it is. If this is what she's saying it is, and that he's just was a dickhead, then I just have to say grow up, because people are shit. People are horrible. And it's Dan fucking Harmon. But if I can offer this, it's good to recognise power dynamics, but it's also good to recognise you're no different from those you employ. You're not a king on a hilltop, nor a beast in a labyrinth. Isolation isn't always best. Connection breeds empathy. Empathy allows growth. Well, you see, this is the same person that basically said that they should kill 39% of the population because he thinks they're Nazis because they voted for Trump. So I think empathy is something that he's probably not really good at. Just saying. I mean, she is right. I mean, the man is, of course, horrible. And yes, he needs to learn that he isn't this amazing super duper artist who, you know, can do no wrong. He is not infallible. He is indeed just a pleb like the rest of us. But again, this is over him being him. She's just making it sound worse than it actually is, because he's not actually done anything heinous. He's just been a dick, which is not something to mull over for years and years and years, and then to call somebody out over and make it into a press story even. I mean, you know, we were expecting some juicy stuff, but in the end, we got some petty stuff, and it feels like a bunch of kids who are just complaining about something that adults shouldn't really be complaining about. But let's move on. Dan later goes on to say, "Good point. I don't mean I started handcuffing myself to radiators like a werewolf. I mean I stopped letting the lines between colleague and relationship be so undrawn that anyone in the vicinity of those lines, or anyone that loves a show, is beholden to a man-child's feelings." So did they like each other? Did he like her? There's so much implied stuff that I don't think I really want to get into it because it's vague. All I can say is that because she's calling him out publicly, and for some reason, rather than, you know, go off on one like he usually does, he's being surprisingly meek and just being submissive. And now that's just a typical soy boy thing. That's a typical male feminist thing, because that's it. That is what he is. If a woman accuses you of something, you must accept that accusation, even if you've done nothing wrong. Now, you know, I guess him being a horrible person, perhaps he should have been more professional and just maybe word his criticisms right. Maybe that's what she wanted him to do, or maybe not criticise her at all. I don't know. Maybe if he'd been a nicer person, maybe this wouldn't have happened, but who knows? I'm not in the business of interpreting that in any way, because to me, that's not really relevant. I'm only trying to take it at face value here. Something's gone on. She's clearly took it far too personal. It's bordering on worse than I am when it comes to autistic stuff. And I just think that the both of them need to grow up. Like, he's a man-child, everybody knows this, but it's pretty clear that she takes stuff that he says and other people have said about her and her work far too seriously and needs to chill out. She's in a creative environment. You're going to get criticism, you're going to get people that are nasty to you, and well, I'm sorry, this is the real world. What can I say? I mean, the Mike Pence School of Gender Relations, is she basically saying that he can work with women because he's a dickhead? I mean, personally, that's not really what Mike Pence said. God, this is a mountain out of a molehill, isn't it? But it is interesting that Dan Harmon isn't what he likes to present himself as. He likes to put on this veneer that he is this amazing feminist who respects the women, but really he doesn't. Well, he doesn't respect individual women as much as he'd like to let on that he does. Even though he gives them all these opportunities, he treats them like shit while he gives them that. And it's kind of funny that he attacks internet trolls and Rick and Morty fans for criticising the skill, creativity and talent of the recent Rick and Morty writers that he's employed, who, by the way, are shit, not because they're women, because they're just not very good or they're inexperienced. Maybe the younger ones will become better as time goes on, but nobody was criticising because they were women. They just weren't good. If he'd employed brilliant writers, maybe nobody would be complaining, but whatever, it's interesting that he is no better than the people that he criticised. And that, I think, we can take away from this story, that he really is just a hypocrite and all this. I think what she has done is exposed that side. And I, for one, thank her for that. I mean, that's some good calling out, I guess. Honestly, it's not the juiciest story. There's no sexual stuff that's happened. It's just Dan Harmon being Dan Harmon and being called out for it. I mean, doesn't he get that on a daily basis anyway? And why of all people her to make him submit? I don't know. Maybe in her particular case, he did feel some kind of regret. And who knows? Maybe they will make up. I mean, come on, he just seemingly criticised her. Unless something else has happened. But they're not saying. So anyway, guys, this has been the video. It's all over now. It's been your boy, and I'll see you later.